Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Happy Monday. Today we're just going to touch on some differences between when we get a referral from you guys and we're running the application. We run every file through what is called the automated underwriting system, also known as AUS. So every file has to go through this, and it's in our system, and we run it through that. So if we
Every lender has this.
Every lender does this.
Yeah.
This is nationwide. Every lender, this is the system. And if we get the approve eligible, like yay, we're pre-approved, and we move on, right? But then there's also what's called a refer. So refer doesn't necessarily mean you're not approved, but there are more steps we have to take and possibilities of different items. I guess, how can I put this? So the qualifications will change. Right. So I'll let her go from here.
I mean, I just think and the reason we're really kind of trying to explain this to you is because I think in where we are right now, it's a little harder. Like loans are just becoming a little trickier. Rates are a little bit higher, and they're not as just like easy to get them approved. And so I think a lot of people are having these conversations with their agents, and this is just kind of basic mortgage 101, but I think it helps for you to understand, because when you come in and, can you pre-qualify somebody? And we're like, sure, if we don't get that approve eligible off the bat, then there's just more work that we need to do to try to make the loan work. So what we are doing, and the reason we stress what we call the TBD underwrite, the pre-underwrite, is if we're not getting an approval, we will try to submit the loan to our underwriters to do what's called a manual underwrite. So in other words, if they hit certain criteria, it's at the discretion of the underwriter if we can go in and approve it outside of our automated system. So we have to put the file together, we get documents from the buyer, we submit it to an underwriter, and we let them go through the file and decide if we can get it approved. And we will always try to do this within reason. I mean, if it's someone comes back with a 400 score, we're like, okay, sorry, this isn't going to happen. But, this is why. So if you're wondering why some of our files are taking a little bit longer, a lot of times this is why, is we are doing everything we can to make it work and get your buyer to the closing table. But there's just more steps involved. So, we don't want you to think that we are just kind of like,
taking forever on these.
Right, taking forever, because we're not. We're just trying to find ways to get your buyer that otherwise isn't really working to.
Yeah, so if they're at like a 620 or below underscore, I mean, even though 600, 580 is technically the minimum, it's not always going to get that approval when you go through the system, because their credit's
not great,
not looking so hot, right? Yeah. So they're coming here with collections, and they're wanting to get a loan for $280,000. There's no bank's just going to hand them that, right? So they've got to have, sometimes when you go to the manual underwrite, you have to have compensating factors. So it's going to be something like, they might have a really low credit score, but if they have money in the bank and all these reserves, well, that might be a compensating factor that we can't get it through the automated system, but an underwriter will look at it with common sense and say, okay, credit score is not the best, but they have this money in the bank, or they have really low debt to income ratios. They make a ton of money, but their credit sucks for whatever reason. So there's just different compensating factors that, again, the automated system can't do this, and it's not like we can look at it ourselves and be like, oh, this, and this, we're good. Now, obviously, we have an idea of what to look for, and we know, but the underwriter has to get their eyes on it themselves and tell you, yes, they will be approved or not. So the process for those that are a little bit less beautiful of credit pictures will take more than just a 24-hour turn time like a normal pre-approval would. So just want you guys to understand what we're dealing with. Because what happens when the rates are higher, you don't have that low-hanging fruit, I'm sure, as all of you know. Once the rates come down, all the more qualified buyers come back to the market and start working on it. So right now, as you're all seeing, some of these leads are tough. And so it's just, the process can take a little bit longer. So we wanted you guys to understand the why behind that sometimes. So.
And if you hear us say, oh, you know what, we got to refer, we're going to try this next thing. At least now you understand what it is we're doing, because I think a lot of our agents don't even know really, that basic, like, oh, it's an approval, or oh, it's a refer. So I think just kind of knowing that terminology, that lingo, and what our process is will just kind of help you also diffuse the buyer and say, hey, look, this is, and we say this a lot, and I say this a lot. It's not an if, it's a when. Or wait, did I mix that up? Yeah. I always mix up my own phrases. Our underwriters will say the same thing. Like, maybe we can't do it right this second, but we'll put a plan in place to help your buyer get to the closing table. So,
now that plan might not be a 30-day plan. That might be a situation where we have to come to them and be like, you need to do X, Y, and Z and come back in 6 months. But we will always try and work with the buyers to make sure that they are getting the guidance they need.
Yeah.
And if we can get them through that manual underwrite, we will.
Yeah.
So it's just a little longer process.
Sometimes it's a little messier than, just your normal run of the mill, but we're out there and we're doing everything we can to get you guys, because if we don't close it, you don't close it, and everybody wants to just get our buyers in a home. So
we want to get paid.
Yeah,
everybody does, right?
So yeah.
I wanted to ask you guys a question for upcoming weeks of this. What are some things that you guys are looking for or want to know about? Is it products that you want to hear more about, or processes? Do you guys have any feedback for us on that? What you want to learn?
Products is always good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any kind of certain products that you're looking for, or just
Products that buyers would like.
so some more of our down payment assistance options type of things? Okay.
Anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get that
And
together
to
for.
offset them blowing their tops over the interest rates.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about the 2-1 buy down. Was that 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
So that was a
Community
good one for the
access
higher
and-
interest
yeah.
rates. But yeah, we
Yeah.
will bring up some. We've got a few more DPA products that we can talk about in the next huddle. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have? Were you raising your hand or stretching?
Yeah, no, it kind of got covered though. Because I know you guys already talked on the 2-1 buy downs. But basically, like maybe a little more information still, like a little bit more of like the parameters and everything. Because that's all they asked me about.
Yeah.
The 2-1 buy down?
Lower.
Yeah.
And that's how they can make their interest rate lower.
Right.
Can you explain points a little more in depth?
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Yes.
For sure.
And here recently been having a few people ask about assumable mortgages, assumable loans.
Okay.
So just how, buyers are asking about those a little bit
Yeah.
to see how they can.
Just a quick cliff notes on that. So assumable mortgages are essentially, the way it works is they would need to go to their current servicer, to find out if it's assumable. Generally, it's only a government loan, so FHA.
Typically.
Yeah. And their current servicer would need to handle that transaction piece of it. So if you have a buyer that potentially has one, like I said, it's usually like an FHA, have them call their current servicer.
Well, it would
to
be the
find out.
seller that would have it.
Right.
So,
I
yeah.
said buyer. I'm sorry. I'm not
Yeah.
seller. Sorry.
So the seller. So if you have listings and they're currently an FHA loan,
Yeah.
it's a good thing for them to go ahead and call their servicer and ask them if their loan is assumable and to get the terms of that.
Right.
They can get that information, and then you can advertise that in your listing
Yeah.
that this is an assumable
It's
loan.
a
But
big
yes,
draw, yeah.
it would be if a buyer came to them, that current loan servicer would be the one that would handle the whole purchase transaction.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But definitely have your listings call and see if they have an FHA loan, if they don't know off the bat, and if it's assumable, and to get the parameters so you guys can advertise that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been had, yes, from the seller side, absolutely, definitely good to include, but just here lately, we've had about three or four people on the buying side who inquired about assuming.
Yeah, they just you got to find a listing that has it.
Right. Right. And usually people have it. They generally know, when they go to list their house. My next door neighbor actually randomly had an assumable mortgage, so he had a VA. But anyway, so yeah, it's definitely a good selling tool for
Do those,
the listing
those
side.
take longer, a little bit longer?
They do. Usually about 45 days, I think, is what I've heard, to get them closed. I think it's a little bit more of a tedious process, but I think generally if a buyer has a potential to get into a 3 to 4% loan, then yeah,
It's worth the extra time,
Yeah.
right? What was your question?
How do we find an assumable loan? Is there a field that we can search?
That I do not.
Is there
Yeah.
a specific fielded FMLS that we could search?
I
for or
don't,
something
I
like
don't
that?
know how that would be an FMLS. I mean, if they, you guys see that more. If there's a spot in there that people can put that there's assumable, maybe just in the notes, I don't know.
Yeah, in the private remarks section on the search, you can like search specific keywords, you can type that in.
Oh, okay, very good, thank you.
You know, if they put it in.
If they put it in there, right.
You just gotta ask, half the time the people don't even know if they got an assumable loan.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
Right.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, if y'all think of anything else, just email us. If you're like, hey, I want to know more about XYZ, let
Yeah.
us know, because then that'll help us gear these things more to what you guys want to know about and learn.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
If you guys could maybe make something that, like, cause I'll get like emails, from lenders all the time, stuff that I can just like copy and paste and just post. So if you guys can make something, obviously, because we're partnering with you guys.
Yeah.
I prefer to repost you guys stuff, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
I mean, we can start generating more flyers for you. Yeah. And just kind of so you can have it. I feel like we should maybe create like a little library.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Like a weekly update, market update or anything like that? Is that something you already?
I think we do it on Wednesdays generally, like here, but I mean, if it's something we can start maybe posting
Oh,
on
you
Workplace.
mean like an email?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Or maybe we can just start doing it on Workplace and
Okay.
kind of, yeah. Yeah.
Because I know I same for Kayla, I get that and there's like a weekly update or
Yeah.
weekly forecast or something.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. We'll take all these notes
Post it on
back.
Workplace, if it's a graphic, post it on Workplace, make sure you post it as a file, not the image/video button,
Okay.
because they can't download those.
Okay.
You have to put it as a file.
Okay.
Good to know.
Okay. Good to know. I think I did do an image last time I put something up there.
That's
Okay.
probably why I told you. All right.
But when you email it, but y'all can email to us, right?
Yeah, we can email just to the agents and go out to everybody as well.
Yeah, okay.
If you prefer the email, because then you can just forward the email. If that, okay, we could do that.
All right.
Maybe just do both. Some people might have a preference.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
All right, thanks,
Great,
y'all.
guys.